Hey guys, it's Mrs. Shannon. I know my picture is kind of at an odd spot, but this is so we can see the different parts of Google Sheets. Because what you're going to do while you're watching this video is use it to help guide you to take the data that you've already entered into Google Sheets, and we're going to create a graph or a chart out of it so we can see any patterns that arise. If you have not already put your data from the papers into the sheets, that is your first step. So please go back and watch the video if you do not know how. This is my sample from doing that first video of just typing in the data. Now, I am actually, although I have plant height on the first page, the first tab here, I am actually going to start with one of the other data points to use as an example to create a chart, because if you notice, plant height, which everyone has to include, has 5 different plants. So that's going to be done just slightly different. Remember, you all are going to have probably your own worksheet down here that you are creating or that you entered data for and are creating a graph. So we're going to go to dissolved oxygen. That was my other sample, but notice it has less data. We didn't have 5 different points for each of the days. Remember, the top row here is number of days, and we had to count it based on how many have passed. We didn't put the dates down. We didn't, try to make it all even. We just counted from the start how many days had passed each time we took that data recording. And remember, we always dated each of those papers, so it made it easy. We just had to count on a calendar how many days had passed. For Google Sheets, it's a little different than Excel. It's got some similarities, but the easiest thing to do here for this one is to just highlight your number values. Okay, I know I have these labeled, what each row is here on the left, and that's going to be helpful when we create our chart, but we're not going to include it when we highlight it to graph it. Okay, so once I've highlighted the data or the numbers I'm going to create a chart or a graph for, I'm going to go to Insert Chart. And what we want to do is a line graph. It may automatically go to the line graph or it may not. So you're going to see something thrown up here. If it does not say line chart for your type, okay, then please check it. It probably will do this because what it does is it's based on the type of data you're selecting. It's going to try to guess what type is the best fit. Notice here, number of days is already on the x-axis, and they went ahead. Even though we didn't highlight it, they saw that column A was our headers. So that did it for us. It was kind of nice. If for some reason we needed to switch the rows in the columns, let's say our number of days was on the left and dissolved oxygen was on the bottom, we can always change it like that. Let me go back though. But number of days was our independent variable. It's what we had control over when we checked it. So that should go on the bottom. And the dissolved oxygen parts per million should go on the side. Now, if yours looks like this, notice it throws up a title. It compares the independent and dependent values and creates a title for you. This is a great chart. So if you have this, perfect, you are all set. If you need to change anything here, you can do that, like names, editing, and stuff through the customize. You can either click on customize here, or if for some reason you accidentally close this out, you can right click, or you can click the 3 little dots here and get to that as well. So if you needed to change the access titles or the chart title, you can click on it. It brings it back up, and then you click on whichever one you need to change. This is what I have. So if I had to change that for some reason, I would just retype it. Okay. So once you have your axis in the correct spots on the X and Y and your title on here, we should be good to go. And so when you do your presentation, you are going to put this into your Ecocolumn presentation because we are going to describe our trend. And in this case, look what happens. We are increasing how much oxygen, okay, at the beginning. We stay about the same, but then it decreases. And we know that maybe fish need oxygen. So if our fish started struggling, maybe this is why, and we could include that in our analysis. So this is for the non-plant height data points. Now, plant height data points are a little different. Okay. What you want to highlight here is actually go ahead. I believe easiest way I did it was I did highlight the labels here. Because we're going to be doing different series, different plants in it, we are going to include them so we can include some of the labels. I believe that's how I did it. And if not, then I'll go back out and do it really quick the other way. So just like before, once I get my data, I go to chart. It automatically, because it sees that there's a bunch there, tries to put it into a column chart or a bar chart. I'm going to go down to line. Okay, so here's the deal. That first row was days that passed. It has nothing to do with which plant it is. I want that days that passed to be down here. But look at 0 to 25. It's going up this scale. So the first thing I'm going to do is go down here and switch the rows and the columns. Now, notice 0 to 25. Okay, but I don't have a label there. So if I use column A as my headers, it should give me, oops, I went ahead and labeled each of my different lines here. But I think I have to go in and add my label. I think there's another way to do it, but we'll just go in and edit it. So it looks good, but I don't have any labels or titles on this. No labels or titles. I do know that the 0 to 25 was my date values. See right here, 0 to 25. And the plants, those numbers all the way, there's nothing above a 10 for my height in centimeters. So I know that the lines are plotted correctly. So now let's go customize it. I want to do my chart and access title. So my chart title, I am measuring the height of different plants over time in an Ecocolumn. Okay. Now, I also need to label my horizontal one, my x-axis, and that is the number of days. Now the vertical one, height. Now we always include units. For day or for time, I already put the units, number of days. Sometimes you can get away with just writing it, but for height, I need to indicate that we're measuring in centimeters and not inches. Okay. And so at that point, I look it over, all these colored lines are labeled, plant 1, plant 2. If you know what the name of the plant is, like if it is a lima bean, okay, you might want to go ahead and indicate that. And look, it will automatically show you that. Because if you notice, you might have planted all lima beans except for plant 2, which might have been a daisy, I don't know. And then when you're looking at this, come on, I keep pulling up a second menu and I don't want to, but let's just say pretend that all of them were lima beans except number 2. Well, when I look at it now, it's a lot easier to see on the graph that look, all of them were growing except the red one. The red one, the daisy, is the one that died off. So maybe in my when I talk about my eco column, I can say, hey, lima beans looked like they were successful and they grew well, but other things such as the daisy did not. And I can tell that because I'm looking at the pattern of the line and the trend that's going up. So hopefully this helps you. There are some students in here that are very tech savvy that can help us. You can ask me questions and we will get these graphs made.